As well as doing the engine swap, we've also been recommissioning the testing Micra and getting that ready to start testing different combinations of parts, see what effect it has on the performance of the car. The first thing we're doing to the car today is fitting a spacer plate for the throttle body to increase the intake length. This should in theory help to increase the engine's low end power, helping it to accelerate out of corners. The intake was already removed on this car, so all I had to do was undo the nuts to loosen off the throttle cable, so I could remove it, and undo the bolts holding the throttle body on. Once you've done that, you just need to loosen off the clips holding the pipes onto the throttle body and remove those, and as well as just unplug the 4 plugs that go into it. Once you've done that, the throttle body should just lift straight off the intake. After removing the old throttle body, you have to clean off what's left of the gasket if any is still stuck to the top of the intake manifold. And as well as the spacer plate will make the distance from the throttle body to the intake longer, we decided to replace the bolts that would have been going through with studs, as the bolts would now be too short to fit in there. Once you've cleaned the surface and fitted the studs, you can now place the new gasket on there as well, but you want to be careful when you fit it that you don't accidentally damage it, as in this case one of the corners of it ripped off while we were sliding it onto the studs. The new throttle body didn't have a bracket on it for the throttle cable to hook into, so we took the bracket off of the old one and bolted it to the new one so that we could reuse it. As this throttle body wasn't from a Micra, the pipes for the cold start idle control were bigger, so as such the ones on the Micra wouldn't fit without an adapter. As this wasn't going to be a car that would be daily driven, it was more of a kind of development / rally car, we decided we'd just blank these pipes off and secure them with cable ties to the car so they wouldn't fall into anything and cause any issues. It's then just a case of tightening the nuts down and plugging in all of the plugs on the throttle body, and as well putting the throttle cable back on and tightening that up, and then the car should be good to go. However, due to the removal of the cold start idle adjustment in this case, the idle screw might need to be adjusted as well, just to bring the revs down a bit. When refitting the airbox, we found that the new throttle body interfered with the bracket that holds the airbox to the top of the throttle body, and due to a little plastic key in it we couldn't rotate this round, so we decided to grind away the little key so it allows us to rotate the screw around to the other side where it wouldn't interfere with the plug, which would allow us to fit the airbox properly. The airbox on this car also had little brackets on it which braced it to the engine. As it was now higher up due to the throttle spacer plate, we had to create a new bracket that was slightly longer so that it would fit onto the car still and hold it in place. We then also fitted a strut brace to the car as well on the front, and as well raised the suspension up. Raising the rear of the car up requires a bit more effort than the front, as you have to first disconnect the panhard rod and remove that, and then as well as you need to disconnect the damper so you can lower the rear axle down so you can then slide the springs out. We then stuck a set of Revolution wheels on there as well, with a set of grippier tyres on there, which are a bit more performance focused than the standard road tyres that were on there previously. After rocking the car back and forth and rolling it around a bit to allow the suspension to settle, it was found that one corner was a bit higher than the other on the rear, so as such we put a spring spacer back in on top of the spring to kind of raise that corner up a bit, which seemed to solve the issue. As the car was now higher up, so had more suspension travel, we also as well softened the damping on the adjustable dampers to allow the car to actually make use of this additional ride height.